What is up guys, it is Simba here and welcome back to the channel for another League Racing video. And today it is round 2 of WOR for the Qatar Grand Prix. And if you're looking forward to this video, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for more League Racing content. I'm trying to get to 200 subs, so I'd appreciate it if you can help me get there. And as you can see, you're probably wondering, why on earth are you reversing or driving backwards and getting yourself disqualified? Well, I got myself a qualifying ban for accidentally blocking a Mercedes right at the end of qualifying in the last race in Belgium. So we're going to be starting at the back of the grid. And it's not going to be easy because this is going to be pretty tough because Qatar is very hard to overtake. So we've got quite a lot of work to do. It's not a full grid, there's 16 people, but regardless, we're starting last on a track which is hard to overtake. So here we go, straight into the race. Heading up for 5 red lights. For the first time in Qatar on this channel, we are underway and we are league racing around one of the newest tracks on F123, and it's actually a really good start. You can see the Red Bull of Jinx backs out and we go down the inside of Barofux and Isfan Tomasi of the Ferrari. We could have tried go hanging around the outside of Barofux. We get past the Alfa Romeo. We think we have, but as you're going to see here, he pops out on the left hand side. He's still there and we're nearly going through wide. I was going to have a look on the inside of Isfan, but we back out of it because there's no point trying to be a hero on the opening lap, and for some reason we just brake really early here, preventing us from having any chance of making the inroads. So we've survived the first lap for now, albeit only gaining 1 position, but there are a few things that you guys need to know about this track. First of all, track limits are key. You can see Isfan's completely cut that corner. We go up the inside as he goes wide through that left-hander. Now we've got a really good run on him. Are we going to go round the outside of the Ferrari, going through the sweeping right-handers? Not quite. We just back out of it. And honestly, there's no point trying to be a hero on lap 1. So track limits are key. And another thing is DRS. And yeah, we got a Red Bull spun round there. I think my line was so bad through that corner, and I think I might have just put him off, and we've spun him round. So we've made 1 place, so progress is progress in league racing. But as you're going to see now, you're going to see the importance of track limits. As you can see, we skipped to the end of lap 4. Nothing much is happening, we're just sitting in the train, and it is really important to do that, because if you lose DRS, you're absolutely finished for the rest of the race, as our pace is looking pretty solid with a 25.5, as Isfan has got a 3-second penalty already. So we're just being told by our engineers, Enerix Ogwin and Elite Risk, just to stay with the train and don't use battery, and just do your best to save your tyres. So that's basically what we're doing, just trying to latch onto the back of the train. As we go through this right-hander, we get our first warning for track limits, which isn't ideal. But we'll carry on going
back of the train, so
for the time being. We've still got a full battery because it's so easy to lose DRS. You cannot recharge the battery around here. So this is where we're going to face a problem. As you can see, at the end of lap 6, we're about to drop out of DRS. And you might think, you know, it's lap 6, it's not really an issue. But little did we know, our situation is going to get a lot worse.
fingers crossed. I've dropped out now.
And you can hear me say, I've dropped out now, and I'm saying fingers crossed because Elite basically insisted that I would be fine without DRS because people would start fighting each other and we will just be able to get back within the 1-second window as they're all losing time to each other up ahead. This turns out to be a terrible call because you can see we're already 1.3, 1.4 seconds back on Isfan, so we're already losing out quite a bit. We're still within arm's reach, but it will play a factor. It will play an effect towards the end of the race. You can see the gap is still 1.4, so we have a huge moment on lap 8, and we're still on 1 warning, so that's alright. But FRT Dan has gone for a spin, so we've gained another place. Up to P14 we go in this race. It's really hard to overtake around Qatar as well. There's so many sweeping corners, and it's so hard to follow another car when you're right behind them. So it's really not ideal to be starting last around here. As you can see, onto lap 9, we are just slowly losing touch with the front runners in that train, and it's really going to hurt us. You see, we've still got quite a lot of battery, but we get our second warning for track limit on lap 9. And we've really been struggling for discipline in terms of track limits in the last few league racing videos that I've been posting on the channel. So we're going to have to do 20 laps of this track without getting a warning. Otherwise, that is basically us getting, completely out of contention, because we won't be able to benefit on anyone else in front of us with a penalty if we don't lose too much time. And we skip to lap 10. I think Istvan has already got 6 seconds of penalties. And again, we're doing our best, but, there's nothing we can do. We don't have DRS, as we set at 26.5, so we've gone a second slower than our personal best, as we've reached the drop-off phase where the tyres reach 30% and then they stop feeling good for a few laps. They start feeling like crap and your pace drops by like a second. So that phase will eventually end, as we're just skipping on to lap 13 now, and this is where dropping out is a big problem, because now people are pitting.
A few with penalties already, Jesus.
And you can hear me say that a few people in that front train have already got penalties, and this is where things are really frustrating, because we've got 2 warnings and we haven't got a penalty. And if we were in that train and just kept it clean for the whole race, we'd be able to benefit from those guys having a penalty. But we've dropped back to at least 2-3 seconds from the last car on the train, which is Istvan. So we're really not going to gain anything. And now we've been called in by Elite on lap 14. I didn't personally agree with it, but I was like, why not? We might as well try and undercut someone. But the problem is that, we've dropped back so much. We're 2 seconds off. We're not going to gain or undercut, really. We're not really going to get an undercut on anyone. We're just pitting at the same time as most people were as well. So, as you can see, we're going on the mediums to the end of the race. I was a bit worried about the tyres, because tyre wear or tyre management for me so far in this game has not been great. I tend to wear my tyres out a bit more than a few drivers around me. So that ends up costing me a few laps, or having to really consider strategy a lot more, considering tyre management isn't really my thing on this game at the minute. So out of the pits we go. You can see BRT8 has gone for a spin through the first sector. We're up into P12 now, as we're going to try and push as much as we can on the medium tyres and see if we can gain a gap on anyone, really, to see if the pace is enough to catch up with the train. Unfortunately, since Qatar is a very long straight, that DRS straight is very long, we just naturally lose 3, maybe 4 tenths a lap on that straight alone. As you can see now, Belrofux has pitted on lap 16, and we're up into P11 now, 1 place off the point, as we set a 24.0 at the end of lap 16. So you can see us dropping back, but I can tell you now, guys, the pace actually felt pretty decent. It's just we can't use it because we're not in the DRS train. We're nowhere near the where we need to be. You can see now by lap 17, the gap is now 3, nearly 4 seconds now. So we've lost another second in the pit stop phase, and you can see we're passing Istvan on the end of lap 17. He's pitted onto soft tyres. Now, I was thinking that, this might not be a bad thing after all. We could, he could catch us on the softs. The softs are going to be a lot fresher than ours, as he's pitted a little bit later in this race, and he's probably got the freshest tyres on the entire grid. So I'm hoping that he'll just catch us, he'll pass us, and then we can just latch off him and then maybe get into the DRS train somehow, as the softs will be a lot quicker, maybe like a second or 2 quicker per lap for a few laps. So that's what I was hoping for, as we're just carrying on. We're up into P10 now, into the points paying positions, but yeah, the main problem is that pit stop did not work, and the problem is this race wasn't streamed, so Ogwin and Elite couldn't give me any intel on who's got penalties in front and like how much ERS the guys have got in front. So they had no reference points to tell me of anything. So they were just letting me do my own thing. So yeah, it's not ideal for anyone really in this situation. You can hear me like asking about the driver in front, and we're only losing 2 tenths a lap. So see, there you go. The pace wasn't even bad. It felt pretty decent in race trim. As meanwhile, Istvan has binned it through the penultimate corner, and yeah, that's basically us with P10 on lock, and yeah, that's basically it. He's retired from the race. We're down to 13 runners, and by the time we get to the last lap, we never really made any inroads at all. The gap was always 4 or 5 seconds. We ran out of ERS, and yeah, that is pretty much this race in the books. But yeah, a really boring race here in Qatar. Sorry this race wasn't a classic. We tried our best with the circumstances, and we're going to cross the line in P10, and at the end of it, it's going to be P8.
You cannot do a thing without DRS.
And you can hear me say, you can't do a thing without DRS. And that is absolutely true. It is crucial around Qatar. And in hindsight, I wish I was a bit more aggressive with the battery use just to stay in the train around lap 5, lap 6 when we were starting to drop out. And Elite's advice was absolutely terrible, insisting that I was going to be fine. Ogwin actually insisted the opposite, that, you know, you've completely shafted Simba now, and his race is ruined, and that's exactly what happened. Ogwin turned out to be right in the end, but yeah, P8, we managed to benefit from 2 other people getting penalties, but in general, the league racing season in WR and in SLR has been really slow. And it's quite frustrating because we haven't really showcased what we can do in these races, but we're going to keep pushing and strive for better results, and hopefully they'll come sooner rather than later.